About 40,000 staff and students in the Western Cape's Cape Peninsula University of Technology can get the jab. This as the university becomes the country's first tertiary institution to open a vaccination centre. Professor Malet Moll is head of the COVID-19 response at that university. He joins us to tell us more about this. Prof. Moll, good morning to you. 40,000 people are going to be going through this newly conceptualized COVID response area. It's just a staggering number. Congratulations. Where did the idea come from and how did you put this together?
Thank you very much, Gareth, and it's certainly a pleasure being here. Last year when we started our COVID response, we formed what we call a health cluster, which is really a combination of all the health-related services on campus. And this year by January, we realized the next logical step in our COVID response would certainly be to involve ourselves in vaccinating our community. And we then started collaborating with our Dean of Health Sciences and Health Sciences faculty. And together we put forward a proposal to the Western Cape Department of Health. They then came out and did 2 or 3 accreditation visits, and they were very particular about their requirements. And then about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we received news that we received accreditation as what's called an outreach site, and we've started business at our vaccination center this week. We had to capacitate the vaccination center, and for the full period until end of February, we're looking at about 90,000 vaccines that we will be able to hand out, and depending on whether it's Pfizer or J&J, it will mean a number of people that we can vaccinate. But our community is by and large a disadvantaged community, and we care about them, and it was certainly with that in mind that we did so, Gareth.
Professor Moll, let me perhaps just go back a second. So my understanding was that this university, this tertiary, this vaccination centre, I'm trying to find the right word here, forgive me, this vaccination centre at this tertiary institution was for staff and students. Am I understanding correctly that you're saying it's actually also for the community around the university? Is that right?
It certainly is, yes. We also feel duty-bound to serve our community. You know, Gareth, I was standing in the centre this week when we started vaccinating, and we have a lot of over 60 people who came through there, people with comorbidities, etc. And every face you see, you realize it's a possibility of a life that you are saving by doing so. So depending on whether we are going to do J&J or Pfizer into the future will depend on the amount of people we can vaccinate. But the capacity is certainly up to 500 a day, and if you take that and you do the multiplication, you'll end up at a number of 90,000. So it's certainly ourselves then plus the community around us, and we've also agreed with the Western Cape Department of Health that bookings through the current EVDS system can be made by members of the public and can then also come to us.
That is incredible to know that it's able to service the community around you. Professor, the reason I asked the question is I want to make sure first I understood you. It's not just for university students and staff. The first institution to have this vaccination centre around the country. Obviously, we'd like to see as many vaccination sites as possible. How difficult was this, I'm talking practically now, and from a financial perspective, to put this together? Perhaps there's other universities watching going, Professor Moll is a genius. We want to do that too. How did you do it?
So we're certainly not geniuses. We are certainly humble servants of the community. And it was really just dedication. It was group work. I cannot mention all the names of the people who were involved, but it started out in January where in our so-called health cluster, I think we expressed the need for having such a facility, and we were certainly fortunate in being able to connect with both the Western Cape Department of Health and then, of course, Higher Health, which is part of DET. And with their support, we then pushed the idea, and it really meant we needed to find a facility, we needed to lay out the facility, make sure everything is inside, all the equipment, the stations are there. Then we also had to make sure there's internet connectivity and workstations to capture information of people being vaccinated. And then, of course, there was quite a lot of meetings with the Western Cape Department of Health about their standard. And once all of those were set, we had accreditation visits, and subsequent to that, we were accredited and we received the date, and we received our first vaccines early on Monday morning, and we started the process. But it was really just hard work, it was dedication, and I need to acknowledge all my colleagues. And it was a team of people from all over the university, particularly both the Dean of Health and Wellness Sciences and her faculty, and then of course my group, which is called the COVID-19 Health Cluster.
It's an amazing group of people all pulling in the right direction to make the change and save lives potentially. Professor Moll, thank you very much to you. Congratulations to you and your team. I'm sure it's going to be an inspiration for other universities and campuses around the country. It can be done with enough time and enough planning and enough commitment. 40,000 staff and students and the community around the Cape Peninsula University of Technology now owing and opening up for vaccinations. That was Professor Malet Moll joining us here on eNCA.